My inheritance has cost me. The car and gadgets are nice. And I've almost gotten used to the smell in the cave. It's the criminals. Since my father died, they've focused their attention on me.
Hey man, somebody killed this lady.
And the people around me. My father's enemies have gotten more twisted with age, more violent and suicidal.
Crashing this plane with no survivors.
Because they know their inevitable end is near. They've seen Batman die. They've seen each other die.
I can't believe they killed him. Yeah, man, things are getting really bad out here.
The Riddler.
This puzzle is far more than any mere game.
Dr. Death.
You and I go way back, Batman.
Two-Face.
I still believe in Harvey Dent.
All gone. Like the life I hoped for beyond this mask. Everything I have, everything I am, is because of him. I'm the Batman's daughter. I am the Huntress. And tonight, I'm hunting the man who destroyed my life.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Huntress Podcast. This is episode 40. This is 40. Wow. They said 40 is the new 30. But no, we're not going back. We're going forward. This is the 40th episode proper of the Huntress Podcast. On this one, we're going to discuss some Helena Wayne action again. I'm one of your hosts, Ashford, and along with me is Laurel. Hello, Laurel.
Hello, Ashford. How you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you. And we also have Diane with us. Hello, Diane.
Hello, Ashford.
So this is cool. This is episode 4, like I mentioned before, and we're going to cover this 2-part story. We're finishing this off, a star-studded special featuring Jonah Hex, Enemy Ace, Viking Prince, Black Pirate, Miss Liberty, and others. The Justice League, Roll Call, Superman, The Flash, Elongated Man, Hawkman, JSA side, the Justice Society, Wonder Woman, The Huntress, Star Spangled Kid, Dr. Midnight, 5 heroes of yesterday fight a losing battle against a menace of tomorrow, and neither the Justice League nor the Justice Society can rescue them. We're talking about Justice League 160. Wow. And who are the creators on this one? Laurel.
Okay, well, 160 is cover dated November 1978. Jerry Conway's the writer. Dick Dillon and Frank McLaughlin are artists. Ben Oda letterer. Carl Gafford colorist. And Julius Schwartz is the editor.
Wow. So before we get started, we did get some feedback when we covered issue 159 on episode 39 of the Huntress Podcast. Here, a proud member of the Right On Network. We have Tim Price. He's doing the whole Halloween October thing where he's going on Twitter by Tomb Priest. All right. He says, another great episode as always. When I have a chance to read this issue, I'll definitely give it a look. Thanks, gang. And he told me today that he's getting caught up and he's going to read this 159 and then meet us on 160. And we also, through another podcast production on the Right On Network, with some cross promotions, we were able to bring a fan over to this feed, this podcast, the Huntress Podcast. Laurel, what did they write?
It was very nice. Michael Wagner reached out to us and said, Huntress Podcast, after being turned onto your network from Bat Outcasters, which is Batman and the Outsiders that you and Tim do. Let's see. After turn onto your network from Bat Outcasters, Huntress is my new obsession. So, and that's Michael_A Wagner on Twitter. So thank you to him.
Yeah, thank you, Michael. That's one of the things I love hearing, where I was listening to this and then like, hey, let me check out this new Huntress thing. So if you're backtracking, please let us know, because I would like to know about your journey, because we're going through that as well. I know a lot of Huntress with the Birds of Prey, but a lot of the stuff that we've been doing, it's been new territory to me, and it's fun seeing this character through the ages and through different eras of like how comic books are told and different art styles. And definitely here where we're seeing Helena Wayne's Huntress teaming up with some heavy hitters. So, wow. Diane, can you give us the synopsis to Justice League of America 160?
Yeah, definitely. So, following their defeat of the Justice League and Society of America, the 5 time-displaced figures, Miss Liberty, Rittmeister Hans von Hammer, Jonah Hex, the Black Pirate, and the Viking Prince John, are all brought back to the Palace of Eternity, where they confront the palace's security system. The time-displaced figures put up a fight for their lives, but are promptly defeated. The Lord of Time, meanwhile, thinks about what he needs to do to destroy his own supercomputer before it stops time for all eternity. Back on Earth 1 in 1978, Superman deduces through the presence of chronal energy that enveloped the time-displaced figures that attacked the Justice League and Society that their Lord of Time must be behind this latest attack. Using the Flash's cosmic treadmill, the 4 members of the Justice League and 4 members of the Society that are still conscious follow the chronal energy to the year 3786 AD. While those 8 heroes carry out that task, Aquaman stays behind to provide medical assistance to the comatose Justice League heroes and Society allies using the medical technology and the Justice League satellite. The heroes' journey to the Time Lord's dimension is a perilous one as they encounter various dangerous obstacles along the way, each one succeeding in knocking out the most powerful amongst them. By the time the heroes reach the Palace of Eternity, only Elongated Man is left standing. Realizing he's the only one who can stop whatever evil plan the Time Lord is cooking, Elongated Man proceeds to confront the man himself. When he gets there, however, he finds that it is not the Time Lord he needs to stop, but his supercomputer that's about to initiate a program designed to stop all of time. With just a touch of a button, Elongated Man single-handedly blows up the supercomputer just seconds before it initiates its deadly program. Back at the hospital, the comatose heroes make a full recovery and are able to retrieve their comatose comrades from the year 3786 AD and return the time-displaced figures back to their rightful places in history. As Elongated Man recovers from his injuries in the hospital, he relays to his wife, Sue Dibney, the details of how he saved time, thus solidifying his place as a valuable member of the Justice League. And this concludes Justice League of America 160.
During the days of World War II, a group of costumed mystery men gathered together to form the first and greatest superhero team of all time. Now, fighting alongside the surviving original members, a new generation of heroes has been born, promising to uphold the legacy their predecessors created and inspire other heroes across the world. Today, the Justice Society of America lives again. Mr. Terrific, Hawkgirl, Jakeem Thunder, Stargirl, Hawkman, Green Lantern, Dr. Midnight, Hourman, Sand, Power Girl, Crimson Avenger, Shazam. The Spectre, Wildcat, Dr. Fate, Atom Smasher, Black Adam, The Atom, Ma Uncle, Airwave.
So join the Feathers and Foes, a Birds of Prey podcast, where we will discuss the event before the event, countdown to Infinite Crisis, Ashford, Laurel, discussing the illustrious Justice Society of America, issues 73 to 78, Black Vengeance, OMAC projects. You're going to want to be there. Oh, we're going to be a part of these lovely array of other podcasters to discuss one of the greatest runs in the DC universe.
Welcome back to the Huntress Podcast, where Laurel, Diane, and myself, Ashford, we're going to talk about Justice League of America 160. I'm looking at this cover. Laurel, what do you think about this dynamic one?
Yeah, there's a lot going on, and there's a lot of people's headshots in these little circles. But the figures in the center, which are those time-displaced ones, and then Enemy Ace is up in his biplane there. And they're fighting these, like, lizard men things, and it actually kind of works. It looks exciting, even though it's kind of crowded. I was really surprised by that. I thought with this much information on the page that I wouldn't care for it, but it's the brightness of it and the action. It just works. And part of it also is the headshots aren't quite static. They look like some of them are speaking or looking or things are moving in them. So that really helps because otherwise this thing would be way too crowded.
Diane?
Well, my first thought is that we've got the time-displaced heroes fighting some giant lizards, I think. And then we've got the Justice League and Society reacting to those time-displaced figures fighting giant lizards or dinosaurs, whatever they are. But yeah, it's kind of an intriguing cover. It's very brightly coloured. It's got a nice orange and yellow background. Well, mostly orange. And it's got, you know, those green lizard creatures with red eyes, so you kind of get the impression that they're rather sinister or they're there for sinister reasons. But then you see that the 5 time-displaced heroes that were fighting the Justice League earlier, they're struggling in a fight of their own, so we see that they're in conflict there. And so judging by the cover alone, I'm thinking, is the Justice League going to help them out? Because they look very shocked to see what's going on. They look very surprised.
I like this. It looks like reaction shots. Mm-hmm. There's violence and anger going on, and then you cut away. So like, oh my, wow. And I like how Huntress, it looks like she is looking directly at the action. So yeah, this is a cool cover.
Well, let's talk about the story a little bit in here. There's not a whole lot of Huntress going on, but let's just do initial impressions of the issue overall. Diane, you want to start us off?
Sure. I think that my overall impression of this story, overall, when we're talking about 159 and 160, it started off with very strong potential. And, you know, Ashford and I, we both do the Doctor Who podcast. So right away, as soon as there's a mention of a Time Lord, or as soon as there's mention of time travel or time shenanigans, we're like, yeah, we're definitely looking forward to this. So it starts off very strong. But I kind of felt that this one chapter, number 160, I felt this one kind of ended on a whimper because nothing really happens, or the heroes really don't do anything. So it's really up to Elongated Man, who is the last one standing, to end the whole thing. And I'm kind of disappointed by how it ended, because throughout the entire story we have the Time Lord trying to figure out, how do I stop my supercomputer from, you know, stopping all of time forever, you know? And it turns out all he had to do was push a button on the supercomputer, and that did the trick. It blew up the whole computer. And I'm like,
was it a button or was it he messed up the machinery by putting his hand in something?
To me, it looked like he was pushing a button, but it could be that he was maybe messing with the machinery. Who knows? But yeah, I was kind of thinking, why didn't the Time Lord think of doing that? And that would have, you know, resolved his own personal crisis. So yeah, so he got at least 4 members of the Justice League and 4 members of the Just Society, including the Huntress, to follow the chronal energy to the Palace of Eternity, only for all of them to be knocked unconscious. And Elongated Hand just sticks his hand in the computer, pushes a button, or he does something there.
No, you're right. It does look like a button now that I found the page.
And it just blows up the whole thing. And I'm like, well, if that button was always there, why didn't the Time Lord just do it? Like, why did he spend so much time thinking about it? All he had to do was do that. So, yeah, I was a bit underwhelmed by the ending, because it started off strong, but it's just, I guess the idea was not fully solidified by the time we got to the conclusion issue, and none of the heroes really got an opportunity to shine. They just got knocked out, including Huntress, of all people.
Yeah. What I liked about it, I love the arts. Especially at the beginning, where I'm reading, I'm like, okay, when are we going to get to the heroes? But just the kind of pulp kind of action to it, it was great. And I think as far as us looking for some Huntress stuff, it seemed underwhelming. But I think as far as like a Justice League, JSA crossover adventure, it's pretty wide in scope, but it's just kind of, it was also getting straight to the point. So it really felt like the way that this book started you would have thought this was going to be at least 6 issues of storytelling. But the fact that it almost felt like, you know what, we were going to give you 6 issues, but actually we got something else going on. So wrap this up in 160. So it's like, okay, well, let me just give them all the parts they need and we're out. So that's how it kind of read to me.
Yeah, it was disappointing, I think, especially because the ending is really rushed. Diane, like she was saying, you blow up the computer and then it's like, oh, everybody woke up and everybody went back to where they're supposed to go. We took everybody back. I'm like, okay, well, how did you take them back? How did you figure out where they go? It was just kind of weird. What happened to the Time Lord? Is he in limbo? Is he caught? It was just odd how they did that. And I think they took a little bit too much time trying to give each one of the 8 that were still left as they're trying to get to this point at the end of time, or I forget what year they said it was, but they kept, knocking one off and one off and one, like that. And I thought, you could have done that a little bit faster and then given yourself some more time at the end, perhaps. I did like the fact they are fighting dinosaurs. There was a T-Rex, there were some pterodactyls, then they had these like ape lizard mutant people from the future. That kind of stuff was very imaginative and very fun. I like that part of this. But yeah, our Huntress is kind of lacking in this one. She had more to do in the other one. The one thing that we do get some talk about her, at least inner monologue type of talk from Elongated Man. Now, we were all over him last issue because we felt like he was condescending to the Huntress. So now we're getting his, thought bubbles. And he's kind of intimidated by all these people, doesn't feel like he belongs. And he even says the Huntress believes that she should be there even more than he is, that he's the joke of the group. So that was interesting to sort of see that maybe what he was doing last issue was just insecurity talking. I thought that was an interesting thing. Diane, what did you think about that little reversal?
So I thought that was kind of interesting that the writer reveals that Elongated Man feels like he doesn't really belong in the Justice League because he's just basically a human rubber band. He just expands and he just, can wibble wobble, I guess, his way into situations. So he was questioning whether or not he's a valuable member of the team. What does he offer the team that the other members can't offer, Well, I remember when I read that section, I said, well, you could be a human trampoline. So if a person falls, you can easily catch them. So that's useful. But yeah, I think he wanted to be more useful than, being a human trampoline. And so he said, well, the Huntress is a detective. She can do all kinds of neat things with her mind. And she can actually, contribute brain power to the team. But what do I get to do? I'm just a showman. I'm just a circus man, so to speak. But yeah, he was kind of questioning, his place in the Justice League. And I guess that was the whole point of that, was to lead to him actually being the one who saves everyone, all of time and space with the touch of a button. Too bad the button wasn't red, but yeah, he's the big red button that solves every problem.
It says, do not touch.
The do not touch red button, yeah. So he's basically the guy who gets to push the big red button and ends the whole crisis. The Time Lord Doctor would be very proud of him, actually. So yeah, I think Elongated Man's insecurity was brought up just so that we could see him actually do something useful towards the end. Improve his value to the team. But that's basically it. He's not really given much to do. Except that's his one crowning moment of awesome there. And everyone else just had to be knocked out for that to happen.
Now, I thought Elongated Man was written as a detective as well. Is that a post-crisis thing, or?
Yeah, I was wondering that myself.
But the one good thing about his, him inner monologuing about his insecurities is we get to learn something about Huntress. And he goes, she is an awesome detective. So if I didn't know anything about the Huntress, but I read this, so I'm like, oh, okay, so yeah, she's the daughter of Batman, and she's also a great detective. So now I know something about her through the thoughts of another. So that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, well, she's not in it a whole lot either. We've got, I think, Diane, you had taken a picture of this and it said, come fly away or something like that you did today.
Oh yeah, she was actually so when they were on the cosmic treadmill, Superman was actually holding her hand, and the thing that I noticed about Huntress is that apart from the fact that it looks like she's flying, she's got a smile on her face, like she's very happy that Superman is holding her hand there.
Yay!
She looks like she's having fun. I'm flying, you know. That was a nice piece of art. I have to say, some of the art I wasn't as fond of, especially for her. The points of her mask got sort of, I don't know, overemphasized. I don't know how to describe it exactly. I'm looking at page 14 on the bottom, if that helps you guys. She's got this, they're huge. Like, you remember when they did that? What's the artist that does that for Batman and makes those big, humongous ears?
Oh, yeah.
Kelly Jones.
I
think isn't that who I'm thinking of?
I thought you were probably thinking of Jim Aparo.
Oh, well, I don't think so. I think, I'm thinking of those really big, exaggerated ones that they do sometimes. Where they look like they're 5 inches tall. Yeah, post-crisis.
Okay. So...
Oh yeah, it was like early 90s, and those kind of like not was it like not Batman or Batman Adventures, but
it was
Dark
kind
Knight
of around.
Saga, I don't know.
They did some around the Nightfall in there a little bit.
Yes.
It depended on who was doing the art, which got exaggerated and what didn't. But it's right in there somewhere.
I'm thinking of what's the name of that event that Greg Rucka did? What was it, No Man's Land, where his ears looked like they were about 2 feet tall above his head. And I'm especially thinking of that one scene where he scolded the Helena Bertinelli Huntress for masquerading around as Batgirl and not doing things to his sanity and all that nonsense that he always does. But yeah, those humongous 2 feet tall ears, you know, you really stood out. So I think I know what you mean. But yeah, when I look at the Huntress in this story, the Justice League story that we're talking about, I keep thinking of Zinda Blake's comment on Helena Bertinelli's mask being the Horned Devil mask, except that Helena Wayne has that Horned Devil's mask really to a T there in that one panel that you're describing where she's standing right next to Hawkman. Yeah, I'm thinking Horned Devil mask. That's the first thing that comes to mind, and then I immediately think of Zinda Blake from Birds of Prey, who said a similar comment, even though Helena Bertinelli's mask isn't so Horned Devil, quite like Helena Wayne's here.
Yeah, well, it keeps things interesting, and I noticed her neckline keeps going up and down. That just cracked me up. I'm like, somebody was in a hurry, because that keeps going up and down. That wasn't consistent. But, you know, overall, it's a superhero book. I like the creative invention of having these creatures. I like that the 5 heroes, I think they're extremely well done. They were really neat to look at. Even though I wasn't sure who they were, it was fun. I like that part of this. It's just the wrap-up was a little disappointing. It was a little too quick. And I, you know, of course, we're the Huntress Podcast, wish she'd had a little bit more than just saying, you know, we have to go forward. That she does say that in here. So besides that, there's not a whole lot in here. Ashford, do you have anything else you want to say about the art or Huntress in this?
Yeah, just with the art, I thought it was wonderful throughout because I'm not that familiar with this era. So I think that was really what I was going for. Just kind of learning about like how this era moves. And I thought the art was fun. I did like the scene with Aquaman where he was like, oh, I wish I was there. And the doctor pretty much telling her, and you would have been laid up in bed too. You would not have helped. So I don't know why you keep saying, I wish I was there. I could have done more. No, you would not have. But no. But yeah, it was a fun adventure. This is definitely how we picture comics being. So I think as far as me just being, I don't know, like visiting this era that I'm not used to, that's where I was getting my kicks. Some of it kind of goofy, but it was good goofy that I thought was cool. And then in the end, where we get that, I like this doctor. Like, I wish that it was something where she was a part of them, but I really like her. And one thing I did like, you know, we're all like JSA adjacent here. I like when Dr. Midnight checked on Sylvester Pilmerton, and he was like, hey, are you all right? Because, yeah, we got a medic in the group. Mm-hmm. And if someone did get knocked back, yeah, he needs to take a look at him. I like that aspect of it.
Yeah.
But those are my final thoughts.
Diane, how about you? Got any final thoughts you want to wrap up with?
Well, apart from the fact that the Huntress gets to hold quite a few hands in this story. You know, she got to hold she got to hold Superman's hand in one panel, then she got to hold Elongated Man's hand in another panel, then she gets to hold Sylvester Pemberton's the Star Spangled Kid's hand in a panel. Don't call him Sylvester. He actually says that in one of the panels with Dr. Midnight. I guess the only major final point to say here is that, you know, one of the things that we talked about in previous Just Society discussions for the Huntress podcast is that there's a whole theme of generational differences in how younger heroes perceive problems versus how the older heroes perceive problems. So there was one scene where the Star Spangled Kid said, "Hey, bro, it sounds like you're getting too old for this job if you can't move, you know, a piece of coral reef or something." And he uses his converter energy to try and knock it all down, and actually ends up repulsing, or rather it ends up repelling him. And yeah, so Sylvester kind of got put in his place there. And so it's kind of continuing that theme of, you know, I'm a young person, even though he's actually from the 1950s, the Star Spangled Kid is. And for him to tell, you know, this Earth 1 Superman, who's a very young man, you know, you're probably getting too old for this job, and Sylvester's actually from 1950. It was kind of ironic and kind of funny at the same time, because the whole thing kind of backfired on him. So that's really my final thought. You know, I just wish that the Huntress really had more to do here, especially considering that she was off to a great start in the previous story that we covered for this particular story arc, with this particular crossover. So yeah, I was kind of more disappointed that she didn't get to do more in this, you know, compared to the last issue.
Well, I guess we can wrap it up here, but don't worry, you're going to get more Huntress action in your feed. The next time you hear from the three of us in unison in concert, we will, of course, talk about part 3 of America versus JSA, where we will continue our analysis and exploration of Helena Wayne, the Huntress. We're going to see her as abogado and her lawyer skills. Please write to us, like especially those people where you know you're a big fan of this era or Justice League of America in general. Let us know your thoughts and write to us at thehuntress.podcast.com. You can also reach us on Twitter at Huntress Podcast. And on that website in this feed, if you subscribe to us through Apple Podcasts or on Spotify, where you can find us at thebatgirl/Huntress Podcast, you will get in your feed podcasts about Helena Wayne and Helena Bertinelli's Huntress. Also, the Batgirl Cassandra Cain podcast, as well as The Outcasters, where Tim and myself, we talk about Batman and the Outsiders back in the 80s, speaking of Jim Aparo. So this is a cool time. And, you know, Michael, he wrote to us about, hey, I was listening to one podcast on Right On Network and it led me here. And that pumps me up. That gives me the motivation to keep going with the podcast. That's exactly what I want to hear, that cross promotion and just us. And I like the way that we cover things and how we look at it. Some of the things that we talk about, they've been covered before, but I think we come at it from a different angle. And that's one of the edicts and goals I have here at the Right On Network. So if you want to support the podcast, it would really help if you went to Apple Podcasts, even if you're not an Apple person, but giving us a 5-star rating, finding us, writing a review. We would love to read it here, but it'll trigger those algorithms. You can also support the show like these lovely folks. Mark Ross, hello Mark Ross, a big time supporter since October. We're getting pretty soon to the anniversary of the Huntress Podcast. I gotta look that up. I know Laurel and I, a couple of years ago, I think October 2018, we were recording them, but I don't think we air them until the new year.
Right. That's the way I remember it.
Okay, that's what happened. And then we have Tim Price, Delvin Sims, Alan Wright, Bold Outlaw. You can follow him on Twitter at Bold Outlaw, Robin Hood Enthusiast, and Kay Say, who's been supporting us since November 13, 2017. So this is great. You can be a patron just by going to the website, thehuntress.podcast.com. You'll see the Patreon button, and as little as $1 a month, you can really help us reach our goal where the three of us, we want to do a commentary on something Huntress related. We got to talk about that. But until next time, guys, cheers.